All right, folks, we've got a big story up this Monday afternoon related to the Murdaugh Murders crime and corruption saga, particularly a story revolving around the double homicide at Moselle, the Murdaugh family hunting compound located in Colleton County, where Alex Murdaugh is accused of killing his late wife, 52-year-old Maggie Murdaugh, and their younger son, 22-year-old Paul Murdaugh, back on June 7, 2021. Now, if you've been following this case closely, you'll know that over the last few weeks, defense attorneys have poked some serious holes into the state's case against Alex Murdaugh, particularly raising doubts about some of the evidence that prosecutors plan on introducing in this trial, which is coming up here next month in January of 2023. But as that process unfolds, I've been speaking with some of the sources who have seen with their own eyes the evidence that jurors in that trial are going to see next month, specifically some of the graphic and gruesome crime scene photos of the late Paul Murdaugh and Maggie Murdaugh. And the accounts are jarring, folks. I spoke with 3 different individuals over the weekend who had seen the photos of Paul Murdaugh's body in the aftermath of this shooting, and some of the descriptions I was provided with will shake you. One source described Murdaugh's head as exploding like a watermelon. Another source described pieces of his brain being plastered on the walls of a feed room in the dog kennels on that Moselle property there in Colleton County. Just gruesome depictions. All 3 of the sources described significant portions, large chunks, large portions of Murdaugh's head being blown off. And obviously that's consistent with some details that were released from a SLED report by Harpootlian and Griffin, who are the attorneys for Alex Murdaugh. Now, in addition to these crime scene photos, I've also spoken with several sources who have reviewed a video recording from just before the murders. 8:44 p.m. is when this video was recorded. You've heard about this video if you follow this case. It is what helped prosecutors establish their timeline for this crime. But this video has been discussed. This news outlet first reported on it earlier this year. John Monk of the state newspaper had a follow-up report which went into greater detail about the contents of the video. I've now spoken with 3 different individuals who've watched it, seen it again with their own eyes. Now, according to these sources, this video was filmed by Paul Murdaugh on his cell phone, and it was filmed because Paul Murdaugh was attempting to take a video of a dog, a puppy actually, a chocolate lab puppy belonging to his friend Rogan Gibson. Paul was keeping the animal at their kennels there at Moselle. The dog had some sort of injury on its tail, and Paul Murdaugh was attempting to document the status of that injury for his friend shortly before his death. Now, what's interesting about this video is that while Paul Murdaugh was filming it, one of the Murdaugh dogs, Bubba, apparently got a live chicken in his mouth and was flying through the property there. Excuse me, I'm hitting the mic. Flying through the property with this chicken in his mouth. Now, on the recording, you can hear Maggie Murdaugh express her opinion that the bird in the dog of the mouth of the dog rather was a guinea, but she is corrected on that count by Alex Murdaugh, who is heard saying it's a chicken, and by Paul Murdaugh, who says it's a chicken, mama. Now, why does this matter? Why is this significant? Well, Paul Murdaugh's original alibi contended that he was nowhere near Moselle at that time, which again is literally moments before both Paul and Maggie Murdaugh were killed. So this video completely shredded that alibi. Now, I want to be clear. All 3 of these sources confirmed that Alex Murdaugh is not seen on this video. You cannot see him on this short, roughly 2-minute cell phone video that was recorded by Paul Murdaugh of the dog. You can hear him, however. In fact, not only can you hear him telling his wife it's a chicken, not a guinea, in the mouth of the dog, but you can also hear him calling out for the dog, calling out Bubba. And more than a dozen of Murdaugh, including Murdaugh's family members, former law partners, have confirmed to investigators that yes, that is indeed his voice on the video. Now, there's also some other information we gleaned over the weekend from our sources who have been privy to all of this evidence. According to these sources, Murdaugh participated in at least 3 different interviews with agents of the South Carolina State Law Enforcement Division. The first interview took place on the evening of the murders. The second interview took place the following day. The third interview took place in August of 2021, about a month, or rather 2 months after the murders. Now, it is during this last interview, this August interview, when Murdaugh was confronted with the existence of this video, was confronted with the fact that he was being placed by law enforcement at the dog kennels on the Mizell property with Maggie and with Paul just moments before they were murdered. His response to that? No. Murdaugh told the investigators. No. He said he wasn't there. However, when he was again confronted with the specific information, he responded that there was no way he was there, quote, unless my timeline is wrong, end quote. That was a direct quote from Murdaugh in that third interview. So not only do we have new details about the crime scene, just how horrific it's going to be, we've got new details about that video, which placed Murdaugh at the crime scene, and we have new details about the moment that he was confronted by law enforcement officers with that incriminating information. Now, again, did he do it? Again, at this point, all we've said is that we believe the evidence shows he was there when at least one of the victims was killed. Obviously, his attorneys have been working very hard to cast reasonable doubt on even that assertion. But as this case continues to move forward, folks, get ready, because we are going to be exposed to some incredibly graphic information, some incredibly sensitive information, and hopefully all the media that are covering it will do their best to bring it to you the right way, the proper way. Certainly that's what we tried to do in our big report, which was filed today. Keep it tuned, though, to Fitsnews for the very latest on this story as we continue to follow all of its many twists and turns, not only with regard to the double homicide, but also the other financial crimes investigations that Murdaugh is linked to, the federal cases, and, of course, the litany of civil cases involving this man, his former law firm, and the powerful family which ran the South Carolina Lowcountry like a fiefdom for over a century. Keep it tuned to Fitsnews for the latest on all that.